Bonjour. Sorry if there's a delay there. Bonjour. Welcome to your video getting you prepared to take the unit test for Unit 1. So you can see on my screen I have two things pulled up. I have the Unit 1 test Form B. You will be taking Form A as your actual test. And I have the quiz prep or test prep document that looks just like all of your quiz prep docs have. So I just want to go through this kind of together before you are given free reign over this. So, as you can see, this is just the actual test. If I had you in class, I would give you all this to work through, and I would have the answer key up at the front of the classroom for you all to check. Since we don't have that, I've just uploaded the PDF of it for you to work from. So you can either just work from this on your computer. If you have a printer at home, you could print this out to do your practice and then check the answer key. But I want to go through kind of how you can use this how you can use this effectively. So let's jump over to the quiz prep document. So I've linked all of your Quizlets for all 4 lessons from this unit. And then just like always, I've broken everything down into categories. So part 1 is listening, just like it has been on every quiz so far. For this one, there are 10 questions. They are not the conversation ones. It's just one question. You choose an answer from 3 options. As you can see here, those are what your 3 options will look like for the most part. I will tell you this now, the listening portion from Form B is pretty much identical to the listening section on the actual test you're going to take. So here in this document, you can see I have linked me reading the questions for the Form B listening questions so that you can practice those. If you haven't gotten one of these little voice notes from me, you just click on it. It opens in a new page. Internet is terrible. And you can just play them and then answer the questions and then check against the key. So that's the listening. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I highly recommend that you do these listening ones because, like I said, it's almost exactly the same. Then the next part, if you had Miss Jones for French 1 last year, you've probably seen this kind of thing before. It's called l'intrus, or the intruder. And what it is you are given a category right here. So you see in the example, the category is objet, objects. And then you're given 3 different things. So here we have raquette, journaliste, and appareil photo. Okay, so raquette means racket, journaliste means journalist, and appareil photo means camera. So one of these things is not an object. So they have crossed out journaliste. On your actual test, since it's a Google form and not something written, you will just select the one that doesn't fit. You'll just select it. And then for this section, I recommend going through and translating these. Go through first and translate all of the ones you know off the top of your head, and then go back, look at notes, use a dictionary, figure out the rest of them mean. Next is a fill-in-the-blank multiple choice section. So this is mostly just knowing your vocab. That's really all it is, honestly. It's knowing your vocab and being able to put it in context. I also recommend going through and translating these, making sure you understand what the questions are asking, because the answer to the question is usually in the rest of the sentence. So, for instance, let's see, Caroline n'a pas de frères et pas de sœurs. So Caroline doesn't have brothers or sisters. Elle est célibataire means single, petite fille means granddaughter, and enfant unique means only child. We have no way of knowing if she's single or a granddaughter. I mean, she most certainly is a granddaughter, but that's not what the rest of the sentence has anything to do with. rest of the sentence is asking, or is telling us she doesn't have siblings. That means she's an only child, enfant unique. So I recommend going through translating some of these, making sure you understand what's going on. Then, samedi après-midi, this section is just conjugating verbs. So we used 5 verbs mostly this unit: avoir, être, venir, faire, aller. This section will look very similar to this. I will give you, you'll have the verb you need to conjugate off to the side, and then a fill-in-the-blank sentence. So you need to look at what the subject is. So mes parents, that's il, I-L-S. So you need to conjugate avoir for I-L-S. So mes parents ont, O-N-T, have un rendez-vous avec l'avocat. Have a meeting with the lawyer. Okay, this is just knowing verbs. So if you don't know how to conjugate these verbs, learn how to. Next, description. This is just adjective agreement. You had a whole quiz that was basically just this. So I'm giving you the adjective here. You need to look at the subject, what the adjective is describing, and make it agree. So for instance, this first one, ponctuelle. Mélanie is a woman's name. So we need to make it feminine. And for EL adjectives, we know that the ending changes to ELLE, ponctuelle. That would be our answer here. So this is just a matter of looking at the subject, determining the number and gender of the subject, and then changing the adjective to match. Now, most of these adjectives, in fact, all of them, yep, are irregular, slightly irregular, or very irregular. So you need to review those charts I gave you in your notes to make sure you're not missing anything there. I think almost all of you missed the masculine plural version of AL adjective. The masculine plural ending for AL adjectives is AUX. And I can guarantee you that is on your actual test. Next, contexte de dialogue. This is 2 dialogues, and you can see out next to the blank you have an option between you have 2 choices essentially. So you have to figure out from the context of the sentence which one of these makes sense. And sometimes you'll have to read most of the dialogue for it to make sense. So let's look. Est-ce que tu as blank d'aller au restaurant? Okay. Do you blank to go to restaurant? So besoin we know means need, envie we know means want. So that would mean it's either do you need to go to a restaurant or do you want to go to the restaurant? Okay, so the answer here is going to be want, right? No one needs to go to a restaurant, I would assume. Then our answer, non merci, je n'ai pas blank. Okay, so we've got faim or peur. Faim means hungry, peur means afraid. So no thank you, I'm not hungry, or no thank you, I'm not scared. The logical choice here is faim. So in your actual Google form test version of this, I have the whole dialogue written out with numbers next to each of the blanks, and then you have a choice at the bottom between I want A option or B option. I think it'll be clear, but it will look slightly different. And then your sentences. So don't pay attention to the sentences on here, they're slightly different. I wrote the actual sentences you're going to need to write on your actual test. Over here, just like usual, so go through here, write all the sentences. There are quite a few, they're all pretty simple. Most of them are things from lesson 1 and lesson 2. So write those below so I can check them. This should say test. A lot of you are writing the sentences and then immediately taking the test and not either like letting me know you need me to check your sentences or just moving on immediately and using the sentences before I've looked at them. So if you're in a hurry to take the quizzes, you should send me a message and I will check your sentences as quickly as possible, usually within an hour. That way your sentences are correct. A lot of you keep making mistakes that are avoidable because you're not letting me check your sentences. Okay, I think that's everything. Do this form question That's our new doorbell bell. Take the Form B test, look over the answers that I give you, the answer key that I give you, and let me know if you have any questions, and then you should be all set to take the test. If there's a section you're struggling with and you want to do extra practice, or you want to have like a little Google Meet to talk about it, I'm happy to do that. You can also always review any videos I've posted. You can review the quiz scores I've sent back to you, or any other document I've given you feedback on. All of that should help you do well on this test. Farewell, until next time, au revoir.